Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Hello, and welcome to episode 129 of the Terrible Book Club. I'm Paris, and this is Chris.
Hello.
This time, we read Genesis 129 Diet, Perfect Health Without Doctors, Hospitals, or Pharmaceutical Drugs by Soul Esprit, Servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. This was self-published in 2011 by Narrowgate Publishing, which seems just to be a private imprint of the author themselves. My fiancé found this book because he was looking at bumper stickers. He was like zoomed into bumper stickers on a car from one of those Reddits that's like full of, I don't know, insanely bumper stickered and flyered cars. And he noticed that there was one car with a bunch of Soul Esprit or Esprit, I think it's Esprit, stickers, and he was like, what
that does sound fancier.
What the fuck is that? Yeah. What the fuck is that? And he Googled it and found this book, the Genesis 129 Diet. This person has written a variety of books in this kind of style, let's say.
This chastising style?
Yeah.
This very,
so...
You better do this style?
Yeah, so we haven't done a self-help book in quite some time, so we thought it would be fun to put this on the schedule for this year. I don't think we were right about it being fun, but hopefully you all will enjoy this episode at our expense.
I definitely felt like I was being scolded a lot of the time.
Yeah, just imagine reading that book as a woman, Chris. So if this is your first time listening to the show, what we do here at the Terrible Book Club is we read books that we assume will be bad based on their cover, title, summary, or some combination of the three. And sometimes we read books that our patrons, listeners, or friends recommend, much like today, where we took this recommendation from someone we knew. So generally we do the opposite of what most people do when they are in a bookstore or looking for something to read online. And usually this experiment results in a disappointing and hilarious read. But once in a while, we actually end up liking the book. Content warnings for today. So, in addition to our usual barnyard language, today's episode includes toxic levels of conspiracy theorism. I mean, it's like the levels of conspiracy theorism are so high that, oh no, the conspiracy thermometer has shattered and it's become a deadly aerosol.
Oh, you're breathing it in. Oh, better God. Get the HEPA filters out here, Paris. Get in your special anti-conspiracy room and filter out all the conspiracy theories. Blast yourself in the face with a concentration of, I don't know, a book that's not this 3 times a day. What's the anti-conspiracy theories, solvent that you could douse yourself with?
Social interaction outside the internet, I think, is the anti-conspiracy
Just get a friend
theory.
to spit in your face 3 times a day.
Actually, you know what? I think most of us would have been protected from the conspiracy theory aerosol because we're all still wearing masks, aren't we? So
yeah,
I think we're all right. In any case, yeah, this episode mostly fine, but we do have a lot of conspiracy theory stuff, and that includes anti-vaccination rhetoric. We've got some racism and misogyny. We've also got kind of the derision of experts and anti-medicine in general. That's sort of the flavor of today's episode.
Anti-medicine. Oh no, I'm sicker.
No, Chris, you're cured because you told the evil Satanists to take their drugs and shove them. All right.
Satan's plan.
So, sorry, this is a lot of me up front here, but unfortunately I have the physical copy of the book, so it's my solemn and miserable duty to read the back of the book to you. So, this is the back of the actual book. This is one of the few times we have an actual book back to read, hardcover too. All right. So this is the back of Genesis 1:29 diet. Who are you going to believe? Man or God? Did you ever wonder why most people today are overweight? Almost everyone is afflicted with an acute or chronic debilitating disease. You never seem to get well, but only weaker and more ill.
That's just aging, bro.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing, because I was like...
It's just the decay of time. It's like not a big mystery. We've all figured it out. We're all aware of it.
Aging. Did you ever wonder why time is...
Why must it go forward? Satan is why.
I mean, maybe. It's how humans perceive time. Who knows if if time is even a thing. Anyway, away from ontological questions. All right. Do you ever wonder why doctors, hospitals, pharmaceutical drugs, and vaccines perpetuate your illness? Since 1990, the rate of childhood autism has increased 100,000%. Read this book and discover the answer to these questions and more that your doctor cannot provide because he doesn't know or is afraid to tell you. Purveyors of snake oil and other witchcraft lotions and potions have changed little over the centuries. With few exceptions, yesterday's traveling Dr. Good has been replaced by today's version of the village witch doctor, identified by the sage initials, MD. The new medicine is merely the old sorcery from ages past. Modern healthcare has become a cult of worshipping doctors. The way of man inevitably leads to death. God's way leads to health and eternal life. Today, there is available to the general public literally hundreds of approaches claiming to provide optimum good health. By observing the latest fad diet, ingesting a miracle food item, or by taking a pharmaceutical wonder drug. However, none of these are efficacious unless entirely based upon the Word of God. Few people believe God and what He teaches in His holy scriptures. The spirit of man is hostile to the truth. An individual will not receive the truth unless his spirit has been regenerated, born again by the indwelling Spirit of God. Those trusting in the deceit of man invariably fall prey to the consequences of their rejection of the truth, Jesus Christ. Genesis 1:29 diet is not a diet in the conventional sense of the word, but is an overall lifestyle in obedience to God. Do what He says and you will stop financing your illnesses and premature death. Then you will lose your dependence on the world's second oldest profession. Anyway. All right, Chris, do you want to give us a little bit on like characters and setting and summary before we move into the content?
Sure. I'll give you some characters and settings. Fucking no one, because it's a self-help book, so there's no plot, which is merciful for me. There's no one to keep track of here except, I guess Soul, Esprit, again, this is another example of us disagreeing on how to pronounce fantasy names, I suppose, Paris.
It's Esprit. It's Esprit, right?
No, it's Esprit, I think.
No, there's only one I. It's Esprit.
Oh, I thought there was two I's.
No, there's only one. Esprit.
Okay, so it's Mr. E-Sprite. He's all for that electronic sprite.
Mr. E-Sprite. I'm fine with that.
Anyway, there's no characters in here besides Mr. E-Sprite yelling at you the whole time about how you should follow God. So I guess like Jesus is part of it. Perhaps Satan and like evil doctors or witch doctors, like he keeps referring to them as, which for a very shaky reasoning that's like entomological because there's not what's the word for words?
The word for words?
The word for when you study words.
Oh, entomology
is like I thought that was bugs. What's bugs?
I don't know what bugs are. I don't know.
Isn't bugs really close to words in those prefixes?
Yeah, entomology is bugs. What? Oh shit, yeah.
Etymology.
Oh, etymology, not entomology.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. See, I'm smart. I can critique this book because smart. Anyway, so yeah, you've got evil doctors and sorcerers, I guess, because the word for pharmacy came from the Greek word for sorcery. So that is a definitive proof that it's all bullshit magic, you see.
Yes.
And if you want a brief summary, it's basically you better love Jesus and not eat anything processed or go to a doctor or a dentist or take a vaccine or inhale chemtrails. There are chemtrails everywhere and bad chemicals suffusing every inch of everything, but if you trust God, you'll be just fine. Don't sweat it. That's the summary, Paris. I'm not willing to go into every last conspiracy that pops up in here and every last wrong thing.
Actually, I actually think I have a pretty good summary here.
Okay. All right. Hit me.
All right. So I feel like this would be this is more of, I think this is okay. Okay. So if you wanted to understand this book in like 45 seconds, this is what I would say. So this book is based on sort of the conspiracy theory that kind of feels like the precursor to QAnon. Let's call it PAnon. So here in the PAnon world,
that's my meeting I go to about not being able to pee next to other people in the public restroom.
Correct. The Satanic Illuminati controls the world, including all major media, banks, the ADA, AMA, IMF, etc. Basically, any big organization you can make an acronym out of is controlled by literal Satanists and the actual straight-up fallen angel himself, Satan. They have their demonic claws in literally everything. Doctors and modern medicine and dental practices intentionally designed to harm or kill, chemtrails that spray people with toxins routinely to harm and kill them and get them to go to the doctors and dentists, food and medicines dusted with heroin and cocaine that even firefighters are giving out when responding to fires, shrug, food genetically engineered to harm you, and of course, that vaccines are full of things, largely mercury, that will harm or kill you and cause autism. The only way to counter this constant barrage of satanic might is to, 1, believe in the Christian God, but specifically believe only literally in each statement within the 1611 King James Bible. 2, get exercise. 3, eat a diet that primarily consists of water you distill yourself, organic and local produce like fresh fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts, and avoid animal products and meat, especially anything cow or pig derived. 4, don't get vaccinated or take any medications at all. 5, don't let women have power. 6, don't let any Asian person or nation have power, and definitely don't eat their food. And lastly, do all of this until Jesus returns shortly after 2025 or 2051.
I like how he hedged his bet on that last bit there.
Yeah, it was really good. So that's like a more comprehensive summary with like the kind of the main.
You left out the dental hate there. Like,
no, I didn't.
Very specific. Oh, I did. I thought I
said
heard the
doctors and modern medicine and dental practices.
Oh, I see. I apologize. I just did because the mercury thing pops up in the vaccines and in fillings because fillings have some mercury in them. Dentists are therefore evil hellspawn only bent on extracting profit from you by poisoning you with mercury fillings. That is the thesis statement of the dental chapter.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, mercury isn't good for you, but, when it's in fucking tiny ass amounts that aren't even...
Yeah. A lot of this book is sort of misunderstanding the idea of parts per million.
Yes.
And conflating the idea of like any presence of any of this chemical is deadly and horrible for you.
Right. All right. Well, since we got through kind of a summary and quickly going over the main points, let's talk about what was good in this book, Chris. What was good in this book?
Okay, so while a lot of that may have seemed totally out of this world, and indeed it is, and we'll have plenty to talk about there, I will say that after I was done reading this book, I was like, man, I should exercise and stop eating processed food. So, like, it did put that idea in my head, and I didn't stop eating processed food. There's a Ziploc bag of Cheez-Its right next to me right now that I was munching on here, which is apparently Satan himself is the Cheez-It here. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that delicious... salty, cheesy, crunchy flavor. I mean, that's why they're doing extra toasted, Paris. Extra toasted is just more hellish Cheez-Its.
Yeah, they're piling on the temptation to make it irresistible to fill their ranks in hell.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm going there clearly, and I'll be munching Cheez-Its the whole way down.
I really want a new Cheez-It commercial that's like, got the like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, Cheez-Its, yeah, and then it ends with like, filling our ranks in hell, and then that's just it. And, like,
people
no
screaming
one questions it.
And like...
And Cheez-Its new mascot is the devil, and again, no one questions it because it's like, oh, cute marketing. People know the devil, right?
I mean, I straight up would support it, so...
Yeah, same.
Anyway, point being is that one of the good things about this book is that he is kind of right that certain kinds of foods are overall more healthy for you. It's kind of rich that early, or like in the back of the book, he was like saying, people are peddling this miracle food bullshit. And he, in a way, kind of purveys that when he has a little list of like, these foods are extra super healthy for you. And I mean, there's truth in there. He basically upholds like garlic and honey, lemons too. I'm always a backer of lemons. You know that, Paris.
That's true.
I had to take a moment when he was also upholding, hey, just eat lemons raw, and I felt like a really cool guy there because like, yo, I've been doing that.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
So,
I also enjoy like raw limes and lemons. Yeah, we're citrus freaks.
And like that's true. Garlic is pretty good for you in general.
Yeah.
Honey is a pretty good source of a lot of different things.
Yep, turmeric also good.
Yeah.
Drinking a lot of water also good. I mean, yeah, honestly, like the diet itself, like just the food advice is really healthy. I mean, he goes to a crazy extreme in a lot of ways. I was gonna say, like, we're trying to focus on things that were good, but I will say that there are a few things that are kind of superfluous and unnecessarily time intensive, like making your own distilled water because you can't trust that the distilled water that you could purchase is not full of fluoride and evil death chemtrail chemicals. So, like, I don't think most people are gonna invest in a distillation machine, even though he's like, buy the ones from China for like $300 or something. But honestly, like, if you come away from this book exercising more and eating more fresh fruits and vegetables and like avoiding or greatly reducing your consumption of processed food and animal products, then he is right. You will feel better and be healthier, most likely, unless you have a particular medical condition that predisposes you like to need to eat in a certain way. I think that he's right about that. But
like
the way
his weird line that he draws about like any processing whatsoever, he's really into the whole raw thing. He even specifically says like, don't cook a lot of this stuff. Like, do not cook anything. I guess applying heat is the fire of Satan himself, and somehow that ruins the nutritional value. I think the nutrition of cooked items does change, but it doesn't necessarily universally render it inert for any nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that cooking food does change some of its health values, but not enough to mean that you should never cook food and must only eat a raw diet. I mean, I think the problem with cooking food is that most people want to cook it in oils or bread it and fry it, right? Which is not good for you, and which this guy is also trying to tell you to avoid, and he's right about that,
But there's other ways to cook. You can steam or boil or like. I just want to know why is his line on any sort of processing so strict? I think he even says like fuck bread, right? Like just milling flour and combining it with like egg and water is enough for him to say, nah, fuck that. That's Satan.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't want to eat because no animal products, so no eggs, none of that. Mm-mm. I mean, you can. There is bread that exists without eggs, of course. Eggs are actually not a main component of most breads, but yeah. I mean, his whole thing is that your diet should be as local and organic and as kind of derived from you as possible. And again, he's kind of right about that because
that's correct, absolutely. But I don't think you should be so fucking hard line like everything must follow that rule.
Oh, I know, but. To him, and this is the part of the diet advice that's bad, is like the way he gets to this conclusion, even though the conclusion is correct, is nuts. Like, it's like when you guess the right answer on a math problem or you just like remember it from a previous example, and when you're asked to show the work, you just like scribble a bunch of vague formulas with numbers and arrows and like circle your answer because you don't actually fucking know how you know the answer. Like, I feel like that's what this is. If you were to ask him to show the work, he would say, you need to do these things to prevent Satan from taking over your life and your soul being condemned to eternal damnation. And I would say, well, I think you should eat this way because you will live longer and happier on this mortal plane. And so those are two very different reasons to come to the same conclusion.
I mean, we enjoy many of the satanic delights that he denigrates, including seltzer water. Apparently he's like, adding that carbonation is the gas of Satan.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck is wrong with carbonation? Like, I don't get that part. Like, look, man, you already got me just drinking plain-ass water. Can I not at least have little bubbles of joy in there?
No, you can. There's other kinds of water you can have, Paris. You can have garlic water.
That's
you just
true.
Put the garlic in the water. You can also spray yourself in the face with a concoction of like turmeric and garlic 3 times a day.
That's
correct. Where that
correct.
spraying in your face 3 times a day. He wants you to like put garlic water in a spritzer and add some turmeric and something. There was like a couple, I think some cayenne even. He was like, yeah, throw that in there and hit yourself 3 times a day.
Actually, Chris, can you take us through the daily routine of, like, this book would recommend the following daily routine.
Okay, let me see if I can find this. So, as far as I can tell, this guy's daily routine includes spraying yourself with that garlic turmeric mist 3 times a day, steaming and distilling and drinking 1 gallon of water that you do yourself, regular exercise, going outside with the bullhorn and screaming about chemtrails for some period of time, getting arrested, getting bailed out, going home, having a huge dinner of like raw garlic and onions and maybe some lemons and cherries, praying, and then sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like, what he recommends, like, the reader do. So
also, like, sitting in, like, there's, like, he wants you to have a specific room in your house that's all air filtered with, like, plants and HEPA filters in it to, like, detoxify yourself from the chemtrails that are outside. This honestly sounds like the routine of a very paranoid evangelist Wario to me. Just, like, all the garlic and onions and shit. Just like he was born again for some reason, saw all the wrong that he was doing to Mario and Luigi, and I suppose the rest of the denizens of the Mushroom Kingdom, and came out the other side with this.
Yeah, it does feel like a weird.
Make sure to spray yourself 3 times a day with the garlic and turmeric.
It does.
Watch
feel
out
like
for the chemtrails. It's Bowser.
Oh god, it's like Born Again Wario, you know, like he gets hit the wrong way during fucking
the blue shell took him too hard.
Yeah, the shell took him too hard in Mario Kart, and he wakes up and he's ready. He's only down with the 1611 King James Bible.
While Luigi's like, brother, I thought we were going to steal some coins later. No, I must sit in my room and cleanse myself from the chemtrails.
Oh. Yeah.
Would you like a lemon?
Yes. So, yeah, therein concludes the only good thing about this book. It's kind of right about what you should eat and how much water you should drink. The end.
Well, there's also the little sort of kernels of truth about how the medical industry is somewhat profit extracting.
Right, yeah, so, yeah, it's in there. Okay. It's in there, don't worry. Yeah, so things that were bad. It's actually pretty repetitive. I think this book wastes a lot of ink and a lot of time reminding you that pharmaceutical drugs are evil, Satan is behind all bad things, etc. Like, if that's really your premise, he should have just said that once to establish it in the prologue, and then restated it again in the end of the book. But the rest of the time in the book should have been spent proving that hypothesis, not just slamming it into my fucking eyes over and over again. Like, every page, like, I swear, watch, I'm gonna just open a random page. All right.
It really does hit you with the same, hey, Satan is out there. Watch out, over and over and over again.
Yeah, let's see. Whereas elementary school children were formerly taught how to read and spell directly from the King James Bible, presently their reading text has been replaced by Harry Potter witchcraft books that teach them how to cast spells. The Harry Potter book series, essentially Luciferian initiation manuals, should be subtitled Witchcraft for Dummies. Today's neo-pagan parents see nothing wrong in all this. Hardly anywhere is there a cry of outrage or even a sheepish whimper of protest. The youth of today are the generation that will enthusiastically embrace the Antichrist and the Revelation 13 microchip mark of this LCF government beast. So, as you can see...
packed a lot into just a couple of sentences there, right?
Yeah, so as you can see, he says that it's bad that children no longer learn how to read and spell from the Bible and are instead apparently learning how to read and spell from the Harry Potter books, which isn't actually true.
I've never seen that in any educational curriculum standards whatsoever. It's like,
no.
Man, that would actually kind of fucking suck that you have to learn how to spell muggle before anything else.
Yeah. I don't know how to spell infrastructure. But yeah, so he just says this is bad without providing any reasoning. He actually thinks that the Harry Potter books teach children how to cast spells, like cast spells in italics, and he does consider them Luciferian initiation manuals. Like, he actually thinks that these silly fantasy books for children are really about evil satanic magic, and I think we can all agree that that is not the case. And honestly, if he really thought that, it would have been fine if he had some supporting evidence, like, I don't know, in 1996,
that time
like 4
when Harry
groups of
Potter
kids
slit the throat of a goat and said, "Hail Satan" in the 5th book.
No. I mean, like, real world examples. Like, this group of kids read the books and then, murdered their siblings or whatever. I mean, I don't really think a single example is, proving anything, but at least it would have been an attempt.
At least, yeah, right? At least something?
Yeah, but this is just, these books are bad because I think they're about witchcraft, even though, like, he clearly has never read them. I mean, I read one Harry Potter book, I didn't like it, but it didn't teach me how to fucking cast spells. Dude, if kids knew how to cast spells, like, this world would be better in some ways, also worse in other ways. I guess it would probably be about the same, but weirder. Like, if kids actually knew how to cast evil satanic spells, where's the downside to that? Where's all the evidence that children are casting evil satanic spells? There's
I guess, like, if they really
there.
were initiation manuals for how to cast spells, then how come the fucking spells don't work? Shitty-ass manual, right? Like, imagine you got a manual on how to operate a machine, and it was like, oh, this is just a metaphorical primer for how to operate this machine. We'll get to the real stuff later.
Yeah, it really... So, again, I didn't even plan that. I literally just opened to a page and read. But that's a great example of how this book is just kind of, like Chris said at the top of the hour, just kind of scolding you the whole time and telling you things are bad without really showing you that they are. And, like Chris was saying, actually, Chris, if you want to take this next point, all good lies have an undercurrent of truth, right?
Yeah, and we sort of brought this up a couple times before where, like, in the food part, yes, there are certain foods that seem to do a lot for someone's health or immune system a little bit more than others. It is better to eat less processed foods in general. Try to avoid having meat every single time you eat a meal. Less dairy, less meat in general is probably going to help you out. And his mentions of the medical system only existing to extract profit is very far-fetched in terms of, like, that's the only thing they're for, but there's some kernel of truth that system does exist to extract profit from people because of, well, capitalism in general. Not necessarily Satan, but the system that we as humans have set up for that reason.
So yeah, you're right. Like, and the American medical system, for those of you fortunate to not live in America, it's insanely fucked up. It's expensive, convoluted, and it often puts profit over care. Since, like Chris just said, everything is privatized and centered around capitalism. Much of the food that's marketed to the American public is unhealthy and packed with excess sugars and fillers, just like Chris said. And, let's not forget the U.S. government has and continues to do extremely fucked up shit that surveils, harms, and kills its citizens. I mean, if you're not familiar with this kind of face of America, the Tuskegee experiment, the forced sterilization of women in this country and in territories that the U.S. has controlled in the past, MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, which then just became fucking legal with the Patriot Act, and numerous other examples. So, like, I understand how with enough isolation and YouTube algorithms, someone could end up here. Like, someone could believe this stuff because there's so much confirmation bias around you, right? Like, there's all these things going on that kind of seems pretty evil.
A lot of it can be evil, but I think for me, the separation in how he gets, or where he arrives versus where we arrive when we hear about this stuff, is it's a matter of degrees.
Right.
And intent and planning. So Mr. Esprit reads this, and he sees a grand overarching satanic scheme with like an hierarchical setup of like, hey, Satan's at the top, and he's got his like, I don't know, middle managers in the middle managing all his different industries to make sure everything comes around to fucking over the human race in the specific way that he wants to just bring all of us down. And I don't think this stuff is as planned out as he says. There is definitely different entities that don't give a fuck about you and only see you as a meat bag to extract a little bit of money off of. And there's plenty of entities out there that do terrible stuff, like the US government with its surveillance and harm and overthrowing regimes just for capitalist interest. I mean, just go read about the whole Chiquita Banana thing where the word Banana Republic comes from. I mean,
read about bananas. You want to talk about GMOs?
Right. Like, this isn't like conspiracy theorist stuff. It's just like shit that happens, but it's not because Satan. It's because there are hundreds of different entities all looking out for themselves in the pursuit of more capital to give themselves more power. It's not like everyone got together and decided, hey, let's all fuck over the little guy. It's a million different people fucking over the little guy for their own self-interest.
Chris!
And it's the chaos of that results in where we are now, not Satan.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, once again, the villain is capitalism. It's not Soul Esprit. Yeah. It's capitalism.
Yeah.
Once again. Oh, it's like that Scooby-Doo meme, you know? You rip off the mask and it's always capitalism under there.
It's always just, putting the dollar ahead of everything else because the dollar is how you survive and do better. That's the reason, right? Is like we all need the dollar to do better and have a better life. So if that's what makes our lives better, then obviously some people are going to not have a problem with saying like, well, I don't care if, a bunch of people get fucked over by the processes I put in place so that I have more money because I don't have to think about them.
Sorry, I also feel like anyone who thinks that the satanic Illuminati, this like PAnon or QAnon stuff, I really feel like they've never had to do a group project before.
Yes, 100%. Man.
Like, have you ever had to
corral five? Trying to get a band to show up all the same day of practice. Trying to get a D&D group to have a scheduled meeting that isn't thrown awry by someone's work schedule or school schedule. And that's like fine, again, but like there is no, grand plan encompassing millions of different people who are all shutting up about it and not saying a word about it to anyone.
Yeah, the level of secrecy that this would require, again, just seems like my two questions are: have you ever tried to organize a group project? And two, have you ever tried to tell someone a secret and have them keep it? Like, it does not pass the test. I don't think big conspiracy theories like this pass that test. It does not seem likely. Although, this man does clearly believe in, like, actual fucking magic. So maybe that's why. Because he's thinking, well, this is Satan, this is a supernatural entity, therefore he can do anything. But in that case, like, why would Satan let you have lemons and garlic, right? Like if he can, at the flip of a claw, fucking overthrow a government, then why would he let people have things that...
Oh, shit, I forgot to get rid of garlic. Oh, fuck it. Oh, I can't do it. I can't get rid of it now. Fuck.
Rebecca,
God
Rebecca, I need you to deal with the garlic situation.
Sir, it's been millennia since they've had garlic. It would be really weird if it all disappeared.
Rebecca!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, many
Recurring
episodes.
character Rebecca.
Many episodes ago, we accidentally
Rebecca, Satan's
had a bit, where Satan and Rebecca.
Satan's PA.
Yeah. Satan's assistant, Rebecca.
So, I mean, in the end, again, there's a certain mindset that some people have where they're looking for the grand plan, like the plot. I think this ties again into a criticism I had a couple of books ago about people that want things to work out like movies or like media or a book. Like they've seen too many movies and they think that's how stuff be. Mm-hmm. Or they just don't want to face the fact that it's all these chaotic parameters that we have no really good control of that are all bouncing off each other to result in where we are now. And that is a frightening thing to think about, in that a lot of these things are out of our control, not completely out of our control, but to a degree where getting a handle on them and reorienting the beast would take so much effort, and no one wants to think about having to do that. Because there's all these parameters and variables that we would have to control for or try to, think about, and that's too crazy. It's much easier to think, well, this is all in someone's grand plan. And this goes both ways, like both the evil grand plan of Satan and some people that are like, climate change ain't a problem. Someone will figure that out. That's how the movie works.
Oh, no. Yeah.
There's not a grand overarching scheme. We're all out here just bouncing off each other.
Yeah. And even if you are someone who, believes in higher powers and stuff like that, that's fine. But, there's definitely some level of human agency and chaos, even, I think, in sort of a big overarching plan. And I think this kind of, the plan, the schematic that Soul Esprit presents is, a little too kind of Hollywood movie perfect, right? It's a little too Dr. Evil, like from the Austin Powers movies. It's like so complicated, it's silly. And next thing that was not good about this book, this author, Mr. Esprit, really just keeps hammering that there is only one correct way to exist, and it's his way. You have to follow the 1611 King James Bible and worship, that particular flavor of the Christian God. And not only is, that specious,
full of
right?
Dark Ages flavor.
Oh, no, the 1611 version isn't. That's not. Like,
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sure I've got my errors wrong here, but that was just my funny joke.
Sorry. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's like this very specific. It's not even just, you have to be a Christian. It's like, he is very, very adamant that only the 1611 King James Bible is the correct Bible, which is wild.
He doesn't even tell you why. He doesn't tell you why that's the correct one.
It does tell you why. And, he says that it's the, unadulterated word of God. And I was like, bro, you want to talk about adulterated? Have you seen the Bible? Do you know how many different fucking versions there are? And how it's been
why should I take his word for it that that's the one?
Yeah, I don't know. But I think
especially when the rest of the book, he's like, think for yourself. Don't submit to authority, but submit to God, the authority over everything. So, which one, dude?
Also submit to me, the authority,
right?
Lower than God. Yeah. I just think
give me all your garlic and unprocessed foods.
I just think it's
me,
really
Wario Esprit. I changed my name. This is my scheme to get more coins for my Mario Party game.
Soul Rio Esprit. Fuck. And so I just think it's really rich that the author is like, I don't want anything that's adulterated. Like, I don't want food that's adulterated or the word of God adulterated. And the Bible has been translated and mistranslated through so many languages over so many thousands of years that I just don't understand how you can be like, this one from 1611, though, that's the right one. It's like, why is that the right one?
It's the one that mentions garlic. Only 1611 King James Bible.
And it's just because King James was really into garlic. Who knew?
I'm really getting to Watto from the Star Wars The Phantom Menace territory here.
Yeah, you really were.
Annie, only garlic.
Chris, are you going to retire building lemon racers? Is that what you're going to do in your old age?
It's broken, but you can try. It had lemon in it. Annie.
This is so similar, it's actually frightening if I look away from your video. anyway, I guess I really just wanted to say, look, the Bible has had all sorts of translations, mistranslations. It's had stuff added to it, removed from it. So it's not really, for me, like,
it's not the raw Bible. It's a very processed Bible.
It's a very processed Bible. Correct. Not a non-organic Bible. But, like, it's not a very great text to pull from for literal guidance, which is what Mr. Esprit's doing here. Like, don't get me wrong. The Bible has got some good sentiments and some bad ones. And you kind of have to navigate those. You have to navigate within your own life in the time and place in which you live, while keeping in mind the context of the fact that this is a book that's been constantly transformed by human sources. Like, you gotta do a little thinking. You can't just accept everything verbatim from the Bible, because there's a lot of shit in there that's bad. There's a lot of, like, having sex with family members and rape and murder and all this stuff that's sanctioned because the God of that, I guess, I don't know, the translation of God at that time, that flavor of God that group of people wanted.
Yeah, really, it seems like it tends to uphold the ideals of the time a little bit.
Yes, it sure does. So, yeah, just not, I'm not saying there's anything wrong that if you're a Christian or if you're of any of the sort of Abrahamic faiths, like, that's fine, but, there's a reason, like, I don't know, I just think it's funny that this seems to be news to people, including Mr. Esprit. I don't know, like, it's a book that's been adulterated by humans. Like, you can't take everything from it literally. You live in a different time and place. Anyway, drives me nuts. Next problem with this book, big problem. So remember how earlier we were talking about how we really felt like this book didn't actually explain or support its art, didn't argue its case. So it's even worse than you think, because there are only 2, maybe 3 links to old news articles in this book to support any of these claims. There's, like, a section with specific stories about how people were supposedly poisoned by chemtrails, but there's nothing directing the reader to where this information came from. Same for any statistics that are provided. The best we get is a single mention that, these statistics were from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, but we don't get a year, and, like, or how...
Not even a link.
Yeah, not even a link, or how that data is related to the overall data set it was derived from, because if you go on, like, the U.S. Department of Labor or, like, the Health and Human Services page, any of those pages that are, bound to have, like, databases in them, there are so many different parameters when you're querying on data. Like, I have no fucking idea what that data set was from. Like, what are you talking about? So it just leaves you with a bunch of... He just says a bunch of things and just expects you to take it all at face value. I mean, if you want to convince me of a satanic Illuminati conspiracy governing literally all things in America, I'm really gonna need more than you ranting at me for 300 pages. Like, you gotta put some supports under that rant, or it just means nothing.
It's all gonna fall over if you do that. Hey, I'm gonna put my contractor voice on here again. Oh yeah, buddy, these ideas are they're all really unsupported. What kind of unlicensed neurons you got working on this kind of thing? Because I can see this is really shoddy work over here. You don't even have a source. You just have random data that you pulled, and you didn't even give any references here. This is all going to fall apart at the first whiff of anyone critiquing it.
Doesn't matter how many plants you put in a room. It's all going to fall down. Yeah, I mean... And
what? I thought it was be fine. I put the garlic plants in here. These ideas, I grew them myself.
I'm just gonna be plagued by Watario Esprit forever. Like, this is my fucking hell. And I don't know, there are further questions, right? Because if Mr. Esprit believes that the government and healthcare industries are both lying all the time, why would you even care what their reported statistics are?
Right? Like, that threw me such for a loop. Is like, oh, they're all lying to you. And in case to support my argument from before, here is a study done by these group of liars.
Yeah, so it's a little tough, right? Because it's like, well, how do you determine who's lying about what and when? Yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff like, there's. Oh, yeah,
How
Chris.
about the part where he's like, a university study, just capital U university, revealed that fish exposed to chemtrails nanofibers suffered severe brain damage after 48 hours. What university?
When
What
did this
fish?
happen?
Where was it?
Well, yeah. It doesn't answer any, like, who, what, when, where, why, how. It doesn't
Some
answer.
university somewhere looked at some fish, and trust me, they had them chemtrail nanofibers in there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Chris, what on earth is happening in there?
It's just the many documents that show that hospitals kill. Accurate and damning documents.
Documents that show how hospitals kill at this time of year in this genre located entirely within this book?
Yes.
May I see them?
No.
I mean, there is a part where he just straight up is like, there's all these documents showing how hospitals kill, and, you know, doctors are the third leading cause of death, and like, yes, it's true that I can't remember how it's phrased. Sorry, I gotta look this up real quick. Like, he's not wrong that like hospitals or medical is listed as like the third leading cause of death, but it's because a lot of people die in hospitals.
Right? One of those causation doesn't equal correlation, or the other way around, correlation doesn't equal causation.
Well, yeah, and it's also because, you know, when you take into the account the overall population, you know, and people going to, like, obviously a lot of people going to hospitals are going to have illnesses, potentially be near death. I mean, think about emergency rooms and urgent care, right? So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know that really supports what he's trying to say. But
it's a specious relationship at best.
Yeah, actually, wait a second. I can get... Okay. Good old CDC. Yeah, I mean, if you look up, like, the leading causes of death overall for mortality in the United States, latest data we have is from 2 years ago, from 2019. None of...
Oh, that's going to be a little out of date.
Yeah, I know. But none of the top things are, like, doctors. It's heart disease, cancer, unintentional accidents, chronic lower respiratory disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, nephritis, influenza, pneumonia, and suicide. So
I think his reasoning was basically like, well, doctors cause all of that with their bad practice,
yes.
So therefore it's really all doctors in the end.
That is true, but he was looking at a specific stat that I also saw, but, you know, realized that, like, he misinterpreted it. Anyway, sorry, getting a little off topic there. Man, this dude really hates dentists. Fucking hates dentists.
And again, like I said before, it's really just mostly because he heard that there's mercury in fillings and therefore they must be ultra Satanists.
Yeah, and, like, the funny thing about mercury in fillings is, like, I mean, a lot of people don't even use fillings with mercury in them anymore. I mean, some dentists do, but it's not really an issue unless it, like, breaks apart in your mouth and you, like, swallow it, but it doesn't.
Yeah, again, this is another parts per million misunderstanding, right? Like, technically water is toxic if you drink enough of it. Anything is bad for you in a certain amount. Oxygen will kill you if there's too much of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a little different, whereas, like, you know, obviously if a filling comes out and you swallow it, I think you could, you know, actually, I don't know, you may have to go to, like, a poison control center. That would be my guess, but I don't actually know. I'm gonna look this up.
Oh Are you going to do some research and check your work, Paris?
Well,
That's not the Soul Esprit Genesis 129 diet way. You should just trust what he says.
What to do if my... Oh, okay. So I guess it's okay if you swallow it, you'll just pass it, you'll just shit it out. But if you inhale it, that can cause serious complications. I don't... Okay. So...
Noted. So if I crack my crown, don't breathe.
Well, that makes sense, right? Because breathing any sort of metal obstruction into an airway would cause serious problems.
It's not just mercury. I think anything will do the job there.
Yeah, and I think, in his mind, one of Soul Esprit's main points here is he thinks that there's like general buildup of mercury in the system from vaccines and fillings and chemtrail spraying and whatever, I don't know, food additives. He thinks heroin and cocaine is in food. He thinks firefighters give out ADHD medication. Where did this connection come from, Paris? I don't know. There's like a throwaway line with like those firefighters, or even they're giving out ADHD medication to the kid. There's like a couple of paragraphs about how Ritalin is bad and how we shouldn't be giving it to kids and all that. Like, aside from that, like, what story did he read where a firefighter like came upon a house on fire and was like, boy, you know what you need to fucking pay attention? Like, what is that what it was? Like, so I guess stumbled upon the solution to high prescription drug costs. Just set your house on fire. Free drugs. Yay. Set your house on fire.
Will give it to you.
Yeah, I don't know where he got this idea either, because I the only thing I could think of is that he's confusing firefighters with paramedics, and paramedics are, always around for fires and accidents, and maybe he thinks that paramedics just administer random drugs to people. But that's also not what paramedics do. Like, they're not like, oh no, your house is on fire. It's not just like,
just take the calm down, just go to sleep. Oh, my garlic is there.
Sir, we saved your garlic, don't worry. You had the sticker on your window, we saw it. Took the garlic plants first. And I mean, Mr. Esprit also thinks that heroin and cocaine is in food, which is why people are so addicted to processed food.
No, it's just sugar and salt in your reward center in your brain and endorphins. Like, how wildly unprofitable would it be to fucking add processed heroin and cocaine into the... Like, you have to source it and hide the sourcing and, like, mix it in just the right amount so, like, no one's ODing on it, or, like... Think about it for 2 seconds, dude. It makes no sense, even from the profit extraction mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, not only that, but like, if there was just cocaine and heroin and everything, people would be having crazy symptoms and reactions that are not the things Soul Esprit is talking about. He's like, oh, do you always feel kind of sick? Like, dude, if there was heroin and cocaine in my food all the time, I would probably be dead. I would probably die pretty fast.
Also, like, how are you supposed to even, like, manage that if it's cocaine for uppers and heroin for downers? Is it, like, they're all mixing a little bit? Like, those gummy bears made me feel real fucking sleepy, but boy, did that chocolate really help.
Are you doing lines of Hershey's? Yeah, it tastes better in my nose. What?
I've noticed I get more of that chocolatey feeling if I do it that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so obviously biologically and also societally explainable, right? Like, cheap processed food is, sorry, I should go back. Processed food is cheaper, largely because we have all of these lobbying groups and government subsidies for things like soy and corn, which, can be made into a variety of things and used as filler and blah, blah, blah. There's all these reasons that processed food exists more readily. It's just because capitalism has decided that processed food is easier to extract profit from, and that's what we got. And then people end up buying it because it's convenient and fast and tastes good, right? And all the additives, like, and sugar and salt, things that taste sweet and salty encourage humans to eat more of them because our brains are not wired for the last 100 years that we've been living in sort of the modern Western world. And our brains are wired to seek out sugar and salt and then hoard that because it's got a bunch of fucking energy in it, right? And we gotta run away from animals and not die and whatever. Humans are based for lean times, and unfortunately, we have not had a lean time. Most people, I should say. That was a very bad general explanation. I was just going off the cuff trying to explain that, like, there is a very reasonable explanation that does not involve heroin and cocaine and food. Anyway.
Right.
Oh, yeah, like, there's one point where one of his pieces of evidence, that, he's right and everything he says is true, there's a part where he says that his printer is not working and that is evidence that the government is attacking him. And it's like, no, you just can't. You just plugged it in wrong, man.
He's like, oh, it's clearly Satan and his evil government apparatus is why this fucking thing keeps coming out torn up and bent. Keeps telling me I loaded it in flat.
It's one of the few pages where
it was my garlic water recipe and they don't want me to print it.
Yeah, no, it was like, oh, right. He also contends that putting fluoride in drinking water is a Nazi experiment, and so he has like a water treatment facility with a fluoride tank, and it has a swastika on it. Yes, it's a picture of the interior of a chemtrail plane showing tanks of toxic spray for aerosol dispersal over large geographic areas. This was the only photograph of chemtrail planes the author was able to obtain from the internet before his computer and printer were suddenly sabotaged by an electronic attack, disabling the computer from accessing or printing other images. Chemtrails are a top secret operation of the Illuminati global hierarchy.
Bro, you just went on a fucking, like, darknet website and someone, like, got access to your computer because you don't know shit about cybersecurity. Relax.
Yeah, it's just it does look like the inside of a plane, and there are canisters, but, like, I can't tell what any of this is.
What's in there? It could be fucking Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're just spraying everyone with a good, tasty time.
Yeah, it could be.
He actually does mention Kool-Aid in the book, and he misspells it, which was, like, aggravating to me for some reason.
Oh, do we want to talk about 100,000 million? Or whatever the number was.
Sure.
What was it? This is
he spells Kool-Aid COOL-AID, which is, I guess, if you have never seen the word Kool-Aid printed and you just heard about it, I guess that's how you would write it.
I didn't remember that. That's funny. I just really want to return to the Paris Does Math segment of TBC because we haven't had that in a really long time.
Hey, it's the start of a new season here.
I'm pretty sure. So it happens twice in the book, and I'm kind of annoyed with myself for not having noted a page. But, and I believe it says 100,000, like, written out in numbers, and then million after it. So 100,000 million. And I was like, what? Why would you write? The first time I was like, oh, he just, I don't know, he meant to say a million, it's just a typo or something. But then it happened again, and I was like, he thinks this is a number. I don't think that's how you would write.
He's just doing a classic big number means scary. That's all.
Yeah, but it was extra weird because I think it was like the population of the Earth, and I was like, I think that's too big. I was like, I think that's too many. That's why it matters to me. There's a lot of us,
but that's a lot.
Yeah, it was like connected to a real thing that I was like, I don't think that's right. But I'm also not, I'm not a mathematician. Oh, is this it? Oh, okay. For decades, genocidal motives have been expressed by legal criminal fraternity spokesmen such as Henry Kissinger, who confirmed the globalist agenda to reduce the world population from its current level of about 7 billion to 500,000 million, 1/14th the present size.
Okay, I'm gonna just do a quick
500
calculator.
Yeah, what is 500,000 million?
Let's see. 500,000
Don't know.
times 1 million.
Because I thought it was like an insanely large number.
It is 5e11, which I know is like
5 to the 11th power.
Yeah. So that's definitely not less than 7 billion. It's definitely not less than 7 billion. That's not like that's not a smaller number.
Yeah, I think that's
I don't even have to do it out, Paris.
Oh, you know what? I think it's is it 500 billion? Is that
Something like that. Here, let's do 5 times 5. I'm doing it a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At 9, I've already got to 9 billion, which has exceeded the world's population.
Okay.
So if I do it a couple more times.
I'm glad that we have arrived at the idea that this is absurd and wrong. And he cites it twice. I don't know why it's written that way. I don't know why he thinks that 500,000 million is 1/14 of 7 billion. And why is that a target number? He thinks that that's the target number. It's like enough for people, it's enough people to keep working, for everything to still run for the Satanic Illuminati, but like enough that they can still kill enough people. And I just don't think I don't think that makes any sense either. Because
yeah, Paris, I don't think you need to be doing much more thinking on that part.
Wait, how many zeros?
It's an extended Paris Does Math segment.
I think that's only 500 million? Okay.
Maybe? I'm not going to sit here and do the math out for like what's enough people to keep things running for a Satanic Illuminati elite.
But yeah, I mean, if he thinks it's 500 million, that is just not a lot of people globally. Like, I don't think that the Satanic Illuminati, that clearly needs a worker class, as he also says, I don't think that's enough for, all the jets and Gucci and whatever they need, and fucking dodo eggs or whatever. The math doesn't seem to work out, and I'm really glad that I was like 500,000 million. That's
we don't even really need a long proof here, Paris. Like,
no.
I just did it with the simple only 5 to the 9th power is already 2 billion more people than exist currently.
So yeah, so I think it is. Yeah. So anyway, that was weird. Like, I mean, the basic math didn't work out there. I don't understand. I think this person...
Because he's expecting you not to check it, Paris. He just
Yes.
thinks you're going to read scary number and move on and accept his point of view.
That's very true. Yeah, and then, and then there's the glorious moments where we got a big old dose of misogyny on page 58. All of a sudden, just...
Paris, I would like you to read this in your Wario voice.
I don't have a Wario voice. What?
You're going to try.
I can only do... no, that doesn't really work. I can't really do it, but I can try.
Here, I can get you to start. Just say garlic. Just say that, and you'll get in the
garlic. Oh, that's weird.
There it is.
There's a larger issue involved in the vaccine school drugging campaign, and that is the NWO feminist agenda. Today's matriarchal society in America is gearing up to further suppress the formerly male-dominated culture. This is being accomplished by various means, chief among which is chemically. In addition to promoting estrogen-based diets, soy, and consumption of growth hormone-fed livestock, the feminist witches are behind the campaign to give Ritalin and other psychotropic drugs to boys in order to anesthetize, neutralize, and dumb them down. Male children are naturally more active than their female peers, yet this hyperactivity is being cited as an excuse to pump them with psychotropic drugs to make them calm down. As infants, they were given a series of mercury, aluminum, aspartame vaccines to drop their IQ at least 20 points. Then, once they reached elementary school age, the medical fiends injected them again. This time with drugs bioengineered to destroy. What
Getting a little
they
bit more like Salacious Crumb's goblin cousin or something, but I appreciate the effort.
Well, we've already determined that I am a gremlin, so that
Yes.
tracks. To destroy what little they may yet retain in the way of masculinity. Recent statistics indicate that girls comprise nearly 80% of the top scholastic achievement in elementary schools. This is no accident, but is the result of the MCF's gender agenda to move women into formerly male occupations, thus transforming a once God-ordained male-dominated society into a passive, cognitively incapacitated world culture ruled by domineering Jezebels.
It also had a hint of like the greasy teenager from The Simpsons in there that's always like, working the fast food stand.
Yeah, I can't really.
I appreciate the effort. Thank you very much, Paris. That was beautiful.
I can't do voices. This just did.
Okay, yeah.
So obviously, despite the fact that it was funny that I was, Salacious Crumb's next of kin for a moment. Yeah, it's a pretty horrible thing to say that women are only smart because because men are drugged and dumbed down. And I mean, if you look at any data about like who gets paid more in jobs, it ain't women. I'll tell you that. Who has roles on councils and in government? It's mostly not women. We're still...
It's the natural order of things, Paris. It can't just be that that's how it was set up for hundreds and thousands of years and that there's no good reason for it. It must be God.
Well, I mean, I think the shitty thing is that, he's like the natural order of things is that women are subservient to men. That's obviously not something I subscribe to. And so in addition to that lovely sentiment, we also have some bizarre anti-Asian racism in here.
Boy.
There's a whole 2-page spread on how food from many countries from Asia is full of MSG, which, you guess it, is also poison. Even though it's not, there's nothing wrong with MSG.
It's got some Satan in it. It's that mega Satan goo. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, and he basically says that, actually, let me just flip to the page. For those of you following along at home, it's page 74.
I hope you do not have this book, those of you following along at home.
Yeah, so he thinks that processed food also encapsulates restaurant prepared food. So no freezer stuff from the grocery store, and also no going to a Thai restaurant. He says that prepared foods in nearly all restaurants are particularly dangerous to human health and longevity. This is especially true of foods offered by Eastern Oriental restaurants, Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Korean, etc. The Eastern cultures are hostile to the West, and particularly America. The reason for this seems to be the opposition of their religious belief system to Christianity and the one and only true God of the 1611 KJV Bible. Couldn't possibly be all the war and colonization, right? No, couldn't possibly be that.
No way.
Yeah, anyway, he goes on to say, food served in Chinese buffets are doused with hidden poisons, aspartame, MSG, which, according to him, are both proven to cause Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ADHD in children.
No source, yet again, on that.
Nope.
Why does he specifically call out, buffets? Chinese buffets? Are pizza places fine or less Satan-y?
No, he says that these neurotoxins are present in the food served in both Oriental and American restaurants. The next time you desire to dine at an Oriental restaurant, ask yourself this question. Can I entrust my health to a nearly 100% pagan culture that pays homage to other gods and is largely in opposition to the Christian faith and Christian God?
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes. I don't really know. I mean, he goes out of his way a couple of times to say that any food prepared, prepackaged in any restaurant is bad. So I don't really know like why he singles out Asian cuisine specifically.
It's really bizarre.
It's really weird. I think it's just the MSG like conspiracy shit. Because remember when that was going around like the 90s and early 2000s, and to some extent still today. But yeah, just really gross, right? Like yeah, it's just, I don't know. And the idea that other countries don't like America because they have a different faith is just ignoring America's entire racist, imperialist, and extractive history, right? Like there couldn't possibly be another reason other than that. It's just
they hate our God. That's it.
And like the wacky thing is that because of all of the kind of like, you know, imperialism and capitalism we've engaged with other countries, we've actually spread Christianity to those places, and many of them are some flavor of Christianity in other countries. So it's just like wild to me.
What's your problem, dude?
It's so wild to me that he's like, oh, they don't like Christianity, and it's like, dude, a lot of countries, you know, were kind of forcibly converted due to occupation. I mean, like, look at the Philippines, man. Like, I mean, you know, and you could also blame countries that are not just America for that, but generally Western world. Yeah, it's really an ignorant thing to print in a book, but clearly this person like doesn't socialize with others and lives in a very narrow little box, you know, wherever they live. So yeah, huge bummer. All right, Chris, you got any other fun things to add?
Sure, there's like a random smattering of stuff we can throw on here. Like, we've heard some of this language already, but one of my other bigger problems with this book is the use of all this scare language.
Oh yeah,
like the thing from the back of the book, like witch doctors and their lotions and potions.
Oh, he loves that rhyme.
Very frequently when he brings up, you know, the pharmaceutical industry, he keeps comparing them to like street suppliers of street drugs. Like, they're the extra evil version. So to compare, and like, yes, they are also drug dealers, just, you know, corporatized and businessified. But like, it's just those use of like, why does he use those? Because it's an appeal to another culture or something that has been held up as scary to your common white American person. Like, we all know what he really means when he talks about like street drug suppliers.
Yeah.
We all know what image he's trying to conjure up to scare people with. We all know what image he's trying to conjure up when he says witch doctor a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the feminist agenda, you know, trying to stupefy our men. And so of course he hates witches because witches are herbalists or spiritualists, right, of a different ilk, and of course he's going to demonize witches because you know, the word witch suggests a woman with knowledge and power who, you know, has her own agency and knows how to do stuff, and he doesn't like that. So
I was even just going to go as far as like those, again, a witch doctor you commonly see in like pieces of media or movies that usually have a sort of like, let's observe the African culture kind of event and like compare it to this like noble savage kind of a thing.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to use like racial scare tactics. You know, these are dog whistles, right? Like,
yes, that's 100% what I'm trying to say.
Street drugs, drug dealers, witch doctors, like, yeah. You're already afraid of black people, right? Like, let's use that.
Yeah, let's be honest about this at this point.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, he never makes any direct statements about race other than that page on Asia. But based on that, I can't imagine he has anything great to say about anyone else who's non-white. So
yeah, and all this dog whistling material here, I think, is just evidence for that. And also just like what he says, like anything that's not American King James Bible culture is Satan.
Yeah.
And another thing to mention here, this was an offhand thing. There was a phrase that was used at some point. I forget in what context it was used, but it was used as like a bad thing that you should be worried about. Was the phrase Kundalini sex force.
I think that was
It's like watch out for that Kundalini sex force, which to me sounds like some kind of like really fun Power Rangers team, to be honest with you.
yeah.
Kundalini sex force coming to get you off, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
coming to get you up.
Looking up what the word Kundalini means, in Hinduism, Kundalini is a form of divine feminine energy. There's the problem.
Yeah, there's a problem. There's a woman involved. Immediately satanic.
She got you with her Kundalini sex force. Watch out.
That's what I'm gonna call my vagina from now on. It's my Kundalini sex force.
Kind of an awesome name for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think you should bother looking for it. The context does not matter. That
No.
much to the
I'm
point
just
that
really-
trying to make.
I'm really curious because I remember that too, because I remember seeing your note before I read it, and then I laughed, and it was towards the beginning. Kundalini sex force!
Oh, you found it.
Yes! The medical profession is steeped in occultism. Their moniker, the caduceus, a winged serpent entwined on a pole, is a symbol found in occult mysticism. It is an ancient phallic symbol, also known as the winged staff of Mercury. Like Apollo, the Greek god Mercury was a Nephilim, a Genesis 6-4 human-demon hybrid. I guess he's never heard of the Book of Enoch. The intertwined serpents on a staff are a depiction of the Edenic reptile squeezing the lifeblood from its patient victim, supposedly in order to release the Kundalini sex force indwelling demonic spirits recognized by Eastern mysticism.
I mean, squeezing a caduceus staff sounds a little bit more like a male sort of sexual energy thing. But
Well, yeah, I think that from this context, it sounds like Kundalini sex force is actually cum.
okay, so that's what I have to call it now for myself.
I guess. I mean, it also says in parentheses, indwelling demonic spirits. So, like, those are your choices. It's no longer cum. It's either Kundalini sex force or indwelling demonic spirits.
All right. Cool. I guess I'll see how that goes over next time.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Immediately broke it up with. No.
Yeah, the next episode. Chris is single. Why is that?
All right, Paris, how about you move over to page 48?
I'm there.
And there is a list of things. I want you to read the seventh one.
Okay. Merrill Unger, in his book Demons in the World Today, adds these characteristics to those who are spiritually afflicted. By Chris's request, I'm just going to read number 7. Often the demon speaking through his victim in the demonized state will demand the burning of incense as well as worship and service. In return, he often promises alleviation from torment and powers of physical healing, or clairvoyant and prognostic gifts assuring financial income and material prosperity to the enslaved persons.
Okay, so aside from the clairvoyant part there, like how he's telling you to just, drink this kind of distilled water, spray yourself with that garlic turmeric solution every day. How is that not the same thing? How is this not a guy telling you, hey, do these potions and these things and you will feel better, I promise?
Well,
it's the same thing.
Well, he says right after, the above criterion concisely describes a large majority of the modern world culture. The only exceptions are remnant elect true Christians.
Why? Why are they the exception?
I don't know, but he says all other Christians are not saved and are going to go to hell. I don't know why, though. He doesn't even explain what remnant elect true Christians are. It's the only time he actually uses that
again, so
phrase.
I just really wanted you to read that out as a prime example of this kind of rhetoric.
Yeah,
okay, let's keep moving.
Oh, yeah, sure. I was just going to say, I mean, even if he just explained a little bit, it would be like, look, if you're writing a book, if you're writing a book like this, you're trying to convince the reader, and I don't feel very convinced.
Yeah. All right, I kind of want to snap through these last few here, honestly, Paris. Just a nice little dessert, I suppose, at the end of the meal.
Yeah, you got it.
The last paragraph on page 154 is a hilarious list of people not wanting to deal with chemtrail conspiracy bullshit from this guy.
Okay. An extremely small minority of concerned citizens throughout America have made thousands of telephone calls, sent tens of thousands of emails and letters to legal criminals at all levels of government without a sympathetic response or attempt to investigate the obvious chemtrail health threat. They're only jet exhaust contrails, is the scripted reply, parroted by frightened public servants, forewarned by their Illuminati-controlled superiors not to speak the truth. Aerial obscuration is the only intelligence offered by the Air Force, NASA, and other complicit government agencies to those naive enough to make inquiry of the fox guarding the chicken house. Grassroots citizen organizations hoping to alert the public about chemtrails are soon forced to disband. Websites exposing the chemtrail story are suddenly and mysteriously dismantled. Emails to the site host are either not returned or replies are answered by government disinformation agents masquerading as the web page originator. Computer attack is likely to occur when perusing websites related to chemtrails. Physical samples from chemtrail droppings subsequently taken to commercial laboratories for chemical analysis are ignored or conveniently lost. The reason for the stonewalling is because scientific laboratories today are under direct government control and have been alerted to block investigations and experimental data proving, or even so much as acknowledging the existence of chemtrails. All popular media and government-infiltrated alternative media sources conspicuously avoid any open discussion of chemtrails.
Is it that, buddy? Or is it just they don't want to deal with your fucking ranting at them?
I'm gonna say that I work in an organization that gets these kinds of things. And we definitely are not told by, like, Illuminati, Satan to not reply. We just are like, this is bullshit.
You just like, don't reply.
It's not Illuminati, Satan. Actually, I think that there is some kind of, I mean, I don't deal with the public, thank God, anymore. But there is some kind of, like, form response we have for chemtrail stuff, because, yeah, we get it sometimes, and it's like, oh, man. Actually, I'm gonna see. Am I going to be the victim of computer attack if I look up chemtrails? I'm going to do it. Chris, I'm going to do it. Be prepared. Be prepared. What if we get disconnected? Oh, I just accidentally typed chemtrails. No! Not chemtrails. Chemtrails.
They're the chemtrails, but with gluten in them. Chewy.
Chemtrails.
Why is the air so gelatinous today? Well, Satan set the chemtrail thing wrong.
Well, and, like, the things that he thinks are chemtrail, I mean, he's like, chemtrails happen constantly all day long, and it's like, dude, those are obviously just planes? Like, he seems to think that a ton of planes are outfitted with this shit, and I'm like, I don't think that that's happening. I'm trying to find, like, a nice chemtrail site.
Are you sure that's out there? A nice one?
Well, I'm trying to find an actual conspiracy theorist site. Instead, I'm getting all of these, like, chemtrails debunked links.
That's Satan. See? He was right.
It's true.
I like the idea of a nice chemtrail. It's like, oh, look, it's so nice in here. Oh, they've got the nice framing on this paragraph here. Oh, it's so easy to navigate. Such a nice site.
Anyway, I have not been computer attacked, so I think we're okay. But, you know, I can kind of understand, you know, given so many things that the government has lied about and continues to lie about in America, that you might be like, chemtrails, though. Like, I certainly don't subscribe to that, but like I said, with enough isolation and YouTube algorithms, you can end up places you don't expect to be, and one of those places is here within this book.
My YouTube algorithm just takes me to, like, bizarre 20-second memes of, like, a stick figure drawing, speaking with a weird voice filter, to, like, I don't know, a moving gif of Spider-Man trying to order a pizza. Like, that's where my YouTube algorithm takes me.
That is really weird. Mine, what does mine give me? Oh, I mean, I mostly just use YouTube to listen to music and to watch the occasional thing, so I don't really think I get a lot of... I get mostly, like, music-related stuff.
I mean, yeah, for me, it's all, like, guitar lessons and guitar pedals and, like, video gamey stuff and Elden Ring and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I certainly get a lot of Elden Ring served to me these days. Anyway, would you like me to read anything else for you?
Honestly, Paris, I think I'm pretty done here.
Okay. So, Chris, can we fix it? Can we fix Genesis 129 diet?
I mean, I guess if you really took out all of the scolding and ranting about Satan and all that and just left it at have some garlic, like Wario's, like, I don't know, fucking pyramid garlic scheme or something. That's really why he wants to do that garlic mist all the time. I guess it, like, get some regular exercise, try to cut down your processed foods. Like, sure, that might be okay, but then you're left with, like, a small pamphlet of 5 pages. It's like, here's some foods that are pretty good. Try to exercise. See you later.
Yeah, I agree with you. If this was just about exercising and eating whole foods and limiting dairy and meat products, it would be fine, especially if he added some explanations about the health benefits of, such a routine rather than, hey, this is good because it'll help you ward off Satan. I mean, and even then, like, if he still wants to go that route to, convince his readers of the satanic Illuminati world order, he really needs to provide better evidence and spend less time just, like, calling people and institutions names and saying they're evil. I'm really unconvinced by anything in this book because of its presentation, kind of lack of sourcing, and repetitive nature. Obviously, the content puts me off too, but if the author had at least put some effort into trying to convince the audience, I could have given it a little more credit. But, remember, folks, if a book tells you there's only one way to live or be good, and it's in their book, it's probably bullshit. Yeah. Especially if it deifies the white male Christian hegemony at the expense of non-white, non-males, and non-Christians. Yeah.
Well, we made it to the ends of Mr. Wario Esprit's fucking maze of Satan.
I mean,
we've taken the garlic mist to the face many times because of his traps.
I did, I was a little disappointed because I was really hoping that one of us would be able to live by this diet, like, for a week or two. But unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Like, it was holiday time when we were reading this and recording it. I don't think we wanted to give up holiday food to do this crazy diet.
No, I won't have the turkey this year, family. I'm going to spray myself in the face with this garlic turmeric mist, eat this raw onion and lemon, and go upstairs to pray. Thank you.
I mean, look, man, if that's what you want to do, I guess if you're not hurting anybody else, it's fine. Oh, God, I'm realizing that we didn't even explain where the Genesis 129 diet title actually came.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Well, there's a passage in the book of Genesis, passage 129, that basically says you should be a vegetarian to, be right with God, that, like, fruits and vegetables shall be as your meat, essentially. So, yeah.
That's the Genesis diet thesis statement, I suppose, from the King James Bible itself. Watch out for that sequel, the Dreamcast diet, coming at you. That one lets you eat, I don't know, tomatoes. That's the DLC for this diet.
Well, this diet is already tomato rich, I think. Anyway, props to my fiancé for choosing the most painful book that we've read in some time.
What a stinker. Took a real big old shit on this podcast.
Yeah, I do appreciate it, though, because we were looking for kind of a wacky self-help book, and he just stumbled into this on the internet, and it was, a match made in hell. So yeah, thanks Tanner, you're the best. All right, and now let's thank the patrons who make this possible. Chris, I feel like you should thank the patrons because I talked a whole lot during this episode.
How about I thank them as Watto? You've been patronizing the podcast so long. Thank you. Thank you, Dari, Greg, Veronica, Will, D, Jared, Senior, Jakub, Bobby Black Cat, Lycoris, Elliot, Kieran, Martin, Jay, Scott, Luchek, C-Tap1, Miri, Yaka, David, Anya, Anonymous, Patricia, Austin, Donnie, Crimson Paladin, Callum, and our Kofi donor Lex Stoties. Thank you very much.
That was pretty fantastic.
You listen again.
we did forget one important thing, Chris, and I would like to read our latest review.
Oh. Yeah, here's a hit for you guys.
Oh, man. So we got this wonderful review on Apple Podcasts on November 13th, and it's from the Apple Podcast user in Great Britain, Trooper300. And Trooper300 gave us 1 star. The review is titled, "Two Talentless People with a Microphone!" Exclamation point.
Just one microphone between us, apparently.
Yes, just one. And it says, "Really just a waste of time listening to this. I lost 30 seconds of my life thinking it may surprise me." So, thanks, Trooper300. I'm really glad we wasted an extra minute of your life when you took the time to write that 1-star review.
Did he even make it through the theme song?
Yeah, I'm really
the theme
curious
song
as
is
to...
exactly 1 minute and 8 seconds long.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was like, which 30 seconds of which episode? Like, what? So, I don't know. Wildly crazy negative review. Thanks, Trooper300. Yeah, I'm sure we'll never see or hear from you again. Good luck to you in life. So, with that...
Don't come back.
Yeah, don't come back. If you want to help support the show, maybe write a positive review on Apple Podcasts to, wash away the stink of people like Trooper300. Otherwise, you can subscribe or watch the show on YouTube, leave a comment, like a video. You can also donate to us on Patreon or on Ko-fi if you haven't already. You can also just follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads if you're on those platforms. And most importantly, we'd just like if you shared the show, told a couple friends about it. That'd be great. Yeah, and we'll keep reading those reviews no matter how bad they are. Keep them coming. And if you want to reach out to us directly, you can contact us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, Patreon, or you can send an email to terriblebookclub@gmail.com.
All right, Paris. I am going to take off from this podcast, go eat some garlic, have an onion, maybe a lemon all at the same time. And I suppose we'll see you guys next time for whatever debris or trash we can dig up.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to being another year older by the time we record the next episode, or by the time the next episode airs. So,
all right. Well, I mean, that's that whole human experience of time thing that he was talking about in the back of the book, right? Still coming for you, no matter what, Paris. If only you had followed the Genesis 129 diet, you could experience time in reverse.
I actually do think that is a tenet of Christianity, right? That like we only experience old age and death because earlier humans fucked it up for us.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone drink your garlic.
Yeah, drink your garlic, eat your lemons. Seriously though, get some exercise and eat some Whole Foods. He's right about that.
Yeah,
do that.
That's fine. Like, get up right now, do a little jog, have some.
Maybe not right now. Maybe not. Oh no!
Sounds like you needed it, Paris.
It's the conspiracy aerosol. It's still in the air from when we started the episode.
True.
It's still.
We didn't really clear out the room that well. Let's get to that now. All right.
Yeah.
See you later,
really,
everybody.
turn on a fan.
Bye.
Bye.